Hi, everybody. It's nice to see all these familiar faces out there. It's nice to see the unfamiliar ones as well. I met a new one today, Robin, Keith's sister. Wonderful lady. We had not spoken before today, only exchanged texts and emails. It takes a real special person to entrust a platform like this to a complete stranger. And I thank her for that. I remember being at Woodson and Bozeman one morning preparing an estimate. Some guy walks past the office door, plops a couple of books down on the desk outside. Oh, this is the new guy everybody's been talking about. All right. It's going to be a good day. We got a new guy in the mix. Now, for me, meeting new coworkers is always very interesting. I don't know the dynamic between two women when they meet each other for the first time, but guys are very predictable. We want to know everything about that guy because within 24 hours, we're going to be telling each other filthy jokes so that we can find a new one to add to our repertoire. We're going to be celebrating the wins and commiserating the losses of our shared football team that we both like, or if we hate each other's team with the white-hot fury of 10,000 suns, because guys don't do nuance very well. If we hate each other's team, now we have to go Google or remember every triumphant moment our team has had over their team and lord it over their head. So, after names were exchanged, we got down to it, Keith and I, and started sizing each other up. I was a Memphis fan. Keith was Ole Miss. All right, so football's off the table for me. All I said about that was, hey, I'm a Memphis graduate, but yeah, I don't dislike Ole Miss. And then I would go back to my desk and fervently pray that the earth would open up and swallow his entire team back to Hades, where surely they were spawned by two lesser demons with common parentage. Sorry, JC. Last check cleared, so I thought maybe I could bust that one out. Keith and I clicked. And as the conversations piled up, I noticed he rarely said yes or no to me. Instead, it was, ain't no doubt for yes. And our inside joke, I don't think so, Scooter, for no. We found common ground, Keith and I. We had the same answer to the universal sacred question all men gauge each other by. Which one, Mary Ann or Ginger? We were Mary Ann guys. He liked classic rock. I liked classic rock. He liked country. I liked classic rock. Okay, so we found uncommon ground as well. Politically, we were polar opposites, but we never argued bitterly or insulted each other. The older I get, the more I appreciate people like Keith, people who don't necessarily share all of my viewpoints. I used to think differences were bad. Now I know that they're just spaces between us that leave room for us to grow. Many people wear their ideas as armor. Others pick them up and use them as weapons. Keith didn't do that. He was not about the win. He just liked a real good, healthy debate. I do too. And he liked the truth. I do too. So we leisurely tossed ideas back and forth across these gaps we shared, and it was respectful. So I didn't just enjoy Keith's company, I admired him a great deal for keeping it all in perspective when we were in the throes of a very vigorous, healthy debate. He had a quick wit, an acid tongue, and anyone that knows me knows I dig both of those things. He called balls and strikes like he saw them, He admitted when he was wrong. That's all we can ask of anyone. One morning I was half singing under my breath the vocals to some song I was listening to on the computer, because I have to have music when I work. And I don't remember what song or band it was. But Keith overheard me mangling the vocals, and he says, "Hey, JR, who sings that?" This was not uncommon. Keith and I used to challenge each other on music trivia multiple times a day. Whatever the answer was, I knew it, and I said, "So-and-so sings that." Immediately comes back, "Yeah, let's keep it that way." It's classic, quintessential Keith. In a world full of silver-tongued hypocrites, Keith was brutally honest, but tactful. He was an iron fist in a velvet glove. This world needs more people like that. I only got to spend 2 brief years with him, and I envy those who had more time. In those 2 years, Keith was an utter physical wreck. Multiple ruptured discs in his back, blood clots in his legs, swollen feet he couldn't feel and that barely fit in his untied shoes. And yet, he came to work every day, forcing his body of his that had turned on him to bow to his indefatigable will. All of us that worked with him would watch helplessly as he trudged from his car to his desk. It was a 30-second walk for us, max. 5 to 10 minutes of pure agony for him. Sweating, grunting from the pain, gritting his teeth, hissing through his teeth, grabbing onto anything with which he could find purchase. Lifting his numb feet like he was wearing concrete shoes. And because Keith despised being late, he left even earlier to make sure that that didn't happen. He did not want to be helped. Did not want to be a burden, he said, even though we all know friends are never a burden. It took months of badgering before he would let us take his sack lunch to the break room refrigerator so that it would not spoil. Fiercely independent. It's said that what gives off light must endure the flame. Keith was utterly bathed in flames, without a single moment of respite. He burned hotter than anyone I've ever known. He was a supernoval testament to the force of will, the power of mind over body, the stubborn intractability that tells the imminent and the inevitable, take a number, sit down. I got some stuff I got to do before I deal with you. And as he labored in his relentless inferno, enduring that flame, he radiated that light, a brilliant beacon of inspiration to me. He showed me through example that you can survive if the fire inside you burns brighter than the fire around you. What a gift. I thank him for that. I really do. One evening we're sitting on his couch, just spending some time having a free-flow conversation, exchanging opinions about life, love, regret, fate, loss, all that stuff, all the constructs that come with gravity attached. We shared confessions of terrible things we'd done and acknowledged unspecified, equally horrible things we'd done that were going to the grave with us and were not going to be shared that evening. And so the conversation naturally segued to death. Keith asked me if I was scared of dying. And I mentally flashed back to my oldest daughter. She wasn't so old then. She was about 8, I think, and had just been to her first funeral, her grandmother's. And she was troubled. Anyone here that has a child knows what I'm talking about. The first time your child tries to wrap their head around the concept of death and the pain it leaves behind. I wanted to console her, so I gave her a confident grin and said, "Nah, I'm not scared. Why? Because if I exist, death it doesn't, and if death exists, I don't. Why am I going to be scared of something that can't exist at the same time I do?" And it worked, and you could just see the relief just wash over her body, and she relaxed. I said, "Good answer, John." Filed it away one of the few times. And so I busted that one out on Keith. Keith looked at me. He looked through me, really. And he said, "I don't think so, Scooter. It's bull, and you're lying." Keith knew. He always knew. I said, "Good call, brother. You're right. It scares the hell out of me." And we laughed defiantly at death, who sat there waiting with us patiently. Gallows humor. Sometimes it's all you got. Later that night, as Keith was getting tired, he mumbled, "I wish you had seen me when I wasn't like this." And I said, "Brother, you shine so bright like this, as you say, that I don't think I could see you at full capacity without sunglasses on." And I wasn't lying, and Keith knew that too. He said, "Ain't no doubt." So later I'm rising from the couch to leave. He gets up with me. I got to the doorway, turned to say my goodbyes. He grabs my arm. He's panicked. And he says, "JR, I just don't want to be forgotten. You gotta say something at my funeral." And I'm like, "Well, okay, absolutely, but um, of, of course I will, but if you go first." "But if I go first, you have to extend me the same courtesy." And he says, "I don't think so, Scooter. I ain't no good with words. This is a one-way deal." All right. Well, like I said, brutally honest. And what are you going to do? He even threw in a compliment to make sure I couldn't not do it. Of course, I would have done it. And I put my hand on his shoulder. I locked eyes with him. I said, "Brother, I promise if you go first and I'm allowed, I'll do you up the best I can. I can't promise I'll do it well. But I do promise you this. I swear I will not stop speaking until I'm certain everyone assembled knows the story of old what's-his-face or whatever the hell your name is." And he just bellowed laughter. And that got me going. And that was a great way to end that night. I miss Keith badly. But I am glad I miss him. Because the alternative is to have not known him. And if this guy, with his broken body and unbreakable spirit, can just drift into the random space of my life, take up a prominent orbit, fundamentally change the views of a jaded and cynical guy like me about things, about people, and I have no doubt he affected others in the same fashion. Keith did not want to be forgotten. But here's the thing. All of us have things we want to forget, and we can't. All of us have a sense of something, and we need to remember it, and we can't. My personal belief is that we don't have the power to make that decision consciously, what to remember, besides the trivial, phone numbers, dates, that sort of thing. The subconscious, the soul, whatever you want to call it, it decides what is retained and what is discarded. So I believe the only way to truly not be forgotten is to reveal some aspect of ourselves that is so admirable, so desirable, that someone else adopts it, incorporates it into their value system, and in turn reveals it to others in its identical pure, unadulterated state as they live out their life. Others then experience it through that person, and the cycle repeats. Unlike a memory, the ripple from that experience can go on forever without diminishing because the experience is shared. Each person owns the original experience, not a copy, identical and pure, like I said. That is true permanence to me, to truly not be forgotten when some part of one person is so powerful it bypasses the consciousness of another and stamps itself indelibly upon their soul. I believe we can't get to that level with memories. Now, don't misunderstand. Memories are precious to me, to all of us, and they can be and should be freely shared with others, liberally shared with others, but the actual experience that caused the memory cannot be transferred, cannot be delivered. It can only be copied for others through words. So 10 generations of people told the story of any one of us in this room to their descendants. That would be a spectacular achievement. But each copy passed on would not be as good as the one before it, and a part of us would be left behind each time. And when 10 generations were done extolling our virtues, ultimately it would not rise to the level of what Keith accomplished in 2 years with me. Keith's name is only a word, but what Keith is, not was, is. His compassion, his drive, his dignity, his decency, ethic, empathy, sense of honor, loyalty, all of it still lives on, I believe, in a very real, tangible, and provable way through the permanence of his effect. These are not just pretty words at a service. I truly believe this. Not only is he remembered, he hasn't gone anywhere. I got some of him. A lot of you got some of him. Maybe we engage each other later and add to our collection. Or maybe we do it down the road. No, I tell Keith, no, you're not forgotten. I don't think so, Scooter. Not by a long shot. None of us win this game and get to stay. But very few get to do what you did, to say to death, okay, it's your turn now. But know this, I'm leaving some of my life behind. It's immortal. It's out of your reach. Nothing you can do about it. Let's go. Well played, Keith. Revel in your well-earned freedom from your pain. I'll catch up with you soon. I will remember those sunglasses. Ain't no doubt.